Hi, I'm Stan Goldstein with Kates-Boylston Publications. As part of our KB On the Road Live series, I'm glad to be joined today by Guy Winstead, Vice President of Sales and Services for Security National Life Insurance Company. Guy, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, Stan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell us about Security National Life Insurance Company.
Sure. So Security National Life was founded in 1965, based in Salt Lake City, Utah. So we've been around a while. Security National Financial Corp is kind of like the mothership. We are a publicly traded company. We are on NASDAQ on the stock market under the ticker symbol SNFCA. Although I tell everybody that we're publicly private or privately public, and what I mean by that is George Quist founded the company in '65, but his son, Scott Quist, who is an attorney, I think a tax attorney actually, is the president, chairman of the board, and CEO. And the Quist Family Trust still owns 50% of the common stock. So we operate like a mom and pop shop, which is my background, growing up in the funeral business. But we have the financial backing of a publicly traded company. And we're completely transparent in the world, in the eyes of the SEC and everybody in the world because of being a public company. We operate 4 lines of business. Life insurance is our bread and butter. The policies we sell bring premium dollars in, and it's how we deploy that premium in our other lines of business that not only add to our profitability, but help them in their profitability, and the yield goes back to us as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you, Stan, 2020 and everything that happened in 2020, 2020 was the best year financially that Security National has ever had. We recorded a whopping $65 or $66 million in pre-tax profits. And then to follow that up, we just released quarterly results for 2021, and the first quarter was the best first quarter in company history. Right. I'd like to say that it was all because of my charming wit and wisdom in the bow tie, but we've got a lot of wonderful people in the organization that have really lent to its profitability and success.
That's great. So how is Security National Life different from other providers? What does set you apart?
Great question. So really there are a few things. First of all, as I just talked about in our corporate structure, we're not a standalone life insurance company. You know, the policies we sell bring premium in, and then we have to deploy that premium. Standalone companies are really limited in the scope of their investments because of their business mix. Typically, older age policy owners reserve at a higher rate, meaning like a 75-year-old, you've got to put 75% of that premium in a reserve. These days, standalone companies, because it has to be safe, are put in corporate bonds, and that becomes problematic, and I'll get into that in a minute. Insurance companies that fund prepaid funerals really need 2 things for profitability. They need time to invest the premium that they bring in, but they also need margin to replace this poor investment environment that we're currently in. Now, everybody might be scratching their head or wondering, yeah, my 401k is on fire. The problem is that insurance companies, because they have to be safe and hold the money, we don't have the luxury of maybe taking, going to the casino and betting on black or number 7 or 13 or investing in FANG stocks. A large portion of the premium we take in has to be put in a very safe place. Traditionally, that's been found in the bond market, and it's also based on the average age or the age of the policy owner when you write the business. Matter of fact, talking about declining investment environments, my dad said the very first house they bought was back in the years when Jimmy Carter was president, and interest rates were 17, 18%, something ridiculous. Last year, and ever since Jimmy Carter, the interest rates have gone down. And I think last year we hit an all-time low. The 10-year Treasury, which is kind of indicative of an insurance company's portfolio yield, the 10-year Treasury got down to 0.8%. I think it's above 1.5. I'm not exactly, maybe 1.75. that creates trouble within our profession or our industry. Let me kind of zero that down a little bit. The LIC, the Life Insurance Council, does a pre-need study every year. They take a sampling of pre-need companies across the US, some big, some small, medium, and then all over. And they don't give anything proprietary, but it talks about average policy size, average age, business mix, mortality, etc. And the results are kind of shocking. It tells us that when you factor in early payoff, the average insurance company that funds prepaid funerals, 85% of the business they write is single pay. And the average policy owner is 78. I bring that up because Security National is very much a unicorn in this space. What I mean by that is our 75% of the business we write is modal or time pay, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. And our average age is 60 years old. Actually, through the pandemic, it went down to 58. So we have the benefit of time, an average of 16 years per policyholder. And we also have margin because 75% of the business that we are writing has that premium load that, God forbid, if something happened to the family member before it's paid for, the benefit of insurance pays the balance. And that helps us support profitability in this current low, but ever since Jimmy Carter was in office, declining interest rate environment.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, can I have a couple more bites of the apple? I'm on a roll.
All right, keep going, keep going. I got a couple more questions, so you keep going. Yeah.
Also, I think, excuse me, I think that we are in a unique position because only 25% of our prepaid funerals are single pay, as I mentioned earlier. So we have the benefit of time and margin that I talked about, and other companies have really felt the negative impact of that declining investment environment. And because they don't have time or margin, their only other option is they're forced to lower the growth rates of the policies that they have in force. Well, that creates a negative impact on the very funeral home customer that's put them in business.
Right.
Because of our business model and our business mix and our investment structure, we've never had to lower growth rates. And that's kind of why I went into all the details at the very beginning. And then last but not least, Security National works directly with its funeral home clients, its funeral directors, our agents, and the families that they serve. We do not have middlemen, we see the people and we tell the story about pre-arranging and prepaying your funeral every single day. The reason we don't use third-party marketers or marketing partnerships or alliances is that a pre-need product has two drivers. My wife laughs at me because this is my seesaw speech. The two drivers in a pre-need product are growth and commissions. We agreed there's 100 pennies in a dollar, and traditionally a funeral wants growth to protect their business for the future. The pre-need policies they sell today are going to become at-need families. So that's on this side. And it's like a seesaw, right? If my growth is high, my commissions are suppressed. If my commissions are high, my growth is suppressed. You ever talk to somebody that has this? Run. Doesn't work. A third-party marketer doesn't really care about growth because they don't have to service the contract. They just want the commission because they're a sales organization. The goal for these groups is really headed in opposite directions, and that product structure, it can't support both, like I said earlier. So distribution through this relationship is very one-sided, and it's always in the favor of a third party. And it's because the funeral home is basically passing along their profitability to the marketer to create sales. So like I said, at SNL, we don't have any middlemen. We deliver customized products, marketing solutions, and the execution of those sales programs, in addition to service offerings directly to our client funeral home. Again, going back to our corporate structure. Sorry, that was a long answer for a short question, Stan. But
that's good. Very informative. That's good. And you touched on this a little bit earlier. How has COVID and the pandemic disrupted the rhythm of your sales processes?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So show me one business segment in the US or across the world that has not been affected. It has created disruption in our sales channels because of resistance from families to see the producer, the inability of the funeral home to allow families in or to serve the families that have lost a loved one. The one positive thing that it's done, it has absolutely reinforced our distribution model, and it's forced us to get more creative with the strategies that we use, again, to use my phrase, see the people and tell the story.
And how is Security National Life adapted to the current sales environment now?
Oh, okay. Well, kind of picking up from where I left off earlier, it's definitely created new marketing and sales techniques, digital platforms, web-based interaction, web-based training, DocuSign. You know, Zoom is now a common word. I'd never heard of it prior to March of last year. We have new service offerings that provide support to our funeral homes and our producers and our families alike. It's really, I'll tell you what it's really done is it's pushed those people who were previously unwilling to grab technology and run with it. It's really kind of pushed them to at least, embrace might be a strong word, but to definitely consider it or utilize it more than they ever have. It has forced us to create new processes, and we couldn't sit on the corner or in the corner of our room, you know, sucking our thumb and rubbing our ear and just waiting for it to pass. It's just not who we are. We've got to get out there and pivot. So we did.
Absolutely. And tell us how the Security National Life provide its funeral home client base with competitive pre-need products and services.
Love this question. Really three things. One, customization. Everybody talks about customization and customization of products. You know, my challenge to the market space is, do they really do that? You know, our belief is that every funeral home creates a unique funeral service for every family that they serve. Because if they didn't, and if that wasn't their goal, they'd have one unit in the display room and one price on their GPL. But that's not the case. We are a service-based profession. Well, unfortunately, there's a tendency in the insurance or insurance-funded prepaid funeral space to make this a commodity or a widget, and we are still very much focused on a service-based industry. Our client funeral homes and our potential client funeral homes, we do the same thing that they do. Everyone has different wants, different needs. Some know exactly what they want. Some have no clue. So what is, in my opinion, it's our responsibility to dig down, find the pain points, reinforce the positives, show light on the negatives, and see how we can convert it. And then we build a product, marketing plan, a sales model, and additional service offerings so that each funeral home we serve can see the benefit of that. The second point is really, have you ever read Blue Ocean Strategy by chance?
No, I haven't. No.
It's a great book. Great book. It's older, but it's a great book. Business mix. You know, I talked earlier about time and margin. In Blue Ocean Strategy, it talks about the shark-infested waters where everyone else is doing battle over the business segments. Our Blue Ocean was to look at the funeral service profession and say, we don't want to fight after the single pays. We want time and margin to aid profitability so I can return that to the funeral home client that I work with. So we stayed in that modal pay space. It's a lot more heavy lifting. You know, it's a lot more effort, but it has predictable results and significantly more profitability back to the funeral home. Well, this year we've tried to introduce, I'll say the initiative started last year, but COVID kind of put everything on skids. But if you think about the problem, remember my little chart here and Jimmy Carter's president up here and the interest rates have gone down. The challenge that a insurance company that funds prepaid funerals has is that if they bring in premium at this point, the funeral home doesn't want their money back. The funeral home wants a policy that grows in value. So you've got an interest rate environment declining, but the expectation is the value of the policy grows. And what that does is it creates separation, right? So that's why other companies have had to lower growth. we look at the interest rate environment as a golden opportunity to jump in the single pay space, because now we're at the bottom of the curve. I don't think interest rates will ever go negative like they did in Europe last year, where you had to pay a bank money, pay money to a bank to hold your money. So we're entering that single pay space on the bottom of the curve so that we can have a product based on predictability of rates that can support the yield and the return and the promise to the funeral home that we serve. And then last but not least, really direct to funeral home and no middleman. We are the insurance company. We are the insurance funder. We work directly with the funeral home, directly with the funeral director and the producer and the agent. And because there's no middleman, our customized products and services have the ability to serve those clients' needs. And if I can keep a happy customer, then that's a good day.
Okay. And speaking of happy customers, how may people get in contact with you or Security National Life?
Absolutely. You can go to our website at securitynationallife.com, or you can go to snlpreneed.com. My name is Guy Winstead, and you can call me on my cell at 601-408-9161. Thanks.
Okay, Guy, thank you. Thank you very much. Very informative. Thank you. And thanks for joining us on our On the Road series. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.